If you're considering moving to Glenwood, Maryland, but you're not sure what this area of Western Howard County is all about, then this video is for you. I'm going to go over the pros and cons, the good and bad of living here, so you can determine if it's the best place for you to move to. So let's dive right into it. Hey everyone, my name is Eddie and I'm a realtor here in Maryland. And if this is your first time visiting the channel, thank you for being here. I've made it my mission to help people just like you determine the best places to move in Maryland, and Western Howard County is absolutely one of those places. And if you haven't already picked up a copy of my relocation roadmap, go into the description below and download that free copy. It will also give you access to my weekly insider email where I give you the up-to-date information on what's happening in the market before it hits YouTube. So at the end of this video, make sure to click on that and subscribe. All right, so I'm going to try to cover a pretty large list of the pros and cons here. Usually I just pick 3 or 4. I'm going to go over 8 pros and 8 cons of living in Glenwood, Maryland, so you can determine if it's really the right place for you. And if you want more detail on any of these, that's what I'm here for. Make sure to send me a text, reach out to me with those questions, and I'm happy to help. All right, so the first pro of living in Glenwood is definitely that rural charm that's hard to find in other places in Howard County. And you can find homes here on multiple acres with equestrian estates. You can have anywhere from 1 acre to 20 acres or more. So you have that option in Glenwood in Western Howard County. It's a huge reason why people move here. And the second pro of living in Glenwood is that you have access to one of the top tier schools in Howard County, which is Glenwood High School, with less overcrowding than what you'll find on the eastern part of Howard County, where we obviously have a more dense population. So it's a huge reason why people want to move out here. It feels like there's just a slower pace, less overcrowding, and it's one of the big reasons why so many people started reaching out to me about Western Howard County. And the third pro of living in Glenwood is that you actually have a strong sense of community, even though you're in a more rural area. Having less people around you means that there's a tighter knit community that you won't find in places like Columbia or Ellicott City. So if you want a lot of privacy, but at the same time you want connection to your community, Glenwood could be the perfect place for you. And the fourth pro of living in Glenwood is the access to outdoor recreation. You have Patuxent River State Park nearby. You also have Cattail Creek Country Club and a ton of local parks nearby in Western Howard County. So if you're into the outdoors and going to parks, then this could be a really ideal place for you to move to. And the fifth pro of living in Glenwood is that there's obviously less congestion on the roadways. So if you're driving on pretty much any road in Glenwood to get anywhere, you're really not going to have any traffic until you get to like Route 32, which is going to be in Dayton anyway. You're not going to have any issues with getting around by car. And the sixth pro of living in Glenwood is that there are very few HOAs and not a lot of restrictions on what you can do with your properties here. Now, you do have planned communities here that are very great places to move to. So you have so many options of what you could do here. You can build that pole barn, you can build a basketball court, put a pool in. Obviously, the county has to approve all these, but you're not going to have an HOA restricting them. And the seventh pro of living in Glenwood is that you have those equestrian and farming opportunities like I spoke about before. There are very few places in Howard County where you have the space to do these things, and Glenwood on the western side of Howard County is the place to do that. So if you're looking for maybe a farmette or a place where you can have an equestrian center, this is the area to look for that in. And the eighth pro of living in Glenwood is the lower crime rate. And the reason that there's a lower crime rate is because there are just so few people here. So you always have to take that with a grain of salt. Lower population, not a lot of people around. There's obviously less that's going on than in a place like Columbia. But it's also good to know that you have a quiet atmosphere because there aren't so many people around. It's generally a quieter place to live, and even in the neighborhoods, a quieter place to live. Now, there are some downsides of living in Glenwood as well. And I'd say the first con of living in Glenwood is that there are very limited dining and shopping options. You do have some local places nearby, but a very small list of them. So if you're looking to be near a lot of amenities, near a lot of restaurants, this is probably not going to be the place for you. But if you're into a 15 or 20 minute drive, you can get to pretty much everything you need in that time. And the second con of Glenwood, Maryland is that there are higher home prices here. And that has to do a lot with the size of the homes and the size of the lots. But because of that, it's also very popular, like I mentioned. So with that comes higher price points. And if you're looking for like a 4 or 5 bedroom home on a couple acres here that's fully updated, you're starting at 1.2 million. You're really starting to really get in the game at 1.5 million. So you just have to consider your budget. If that's something you're really focused on, Glenwood could easily break your budget very quickly. And the third con of living in Glenwood is the commuting challenges. And while there's no traffic here, you're also much farther away from major employment centers like Baltimore or Fort Meade or DC. So to get to the highways is going to take you that little bit of extra time. And it's actually one of the big reasons that my buyers that shop here maybe decide not to move here is they start looking at homes and then they start driving to those places and realize it's just a little too far for them. Now, again, if you want that rural charm or you work from home or you just want to start up a farmette and you don't go into work that often, this could be an awesome place for you. But just it's something to consider if you're thinking of moving to Western Howard County. And the fourth con of living in Glenwood is the limited public utilities. Now, I think of this as a pro. I particularly prefer well and septic in a lot of ways, but almost every home here is going to be on well and septic. So if you want to be on city water and city sewer, then this is probably not the place for you. Now, a lot of people don't know the pros and cons of well and septic, but I would say one of the biggest cons of being on a well is that if you don't have a generator and the power goes out, you don't have any water because they're run off of electric well pumps. Now, obviously, you can get a generator, which so many of these homes do, and septic systems are not tough to maintenance, but they are a big consideration when determining whether or not to move to a place on those public utilities or not. And the fifth con of living in Glenwood is the lack of diverse housing options. And by this, I mean they're almost all going to be these single family homes on larger lots. You're not going to find like townhomes and condo communities. So you're pretty much limited to those larger estate type homes. And if that's what you're looking for, great. But if you're looking for options, you're going to have to look elsewhere. And the sixth con is something that actually is a pretty big problem when I'm out showing houses. And that's the lack of cell reception out here. Some areas are fantastic with it and are near 5G towers, but other areas of Glenwood, I'm on one bar, and by the time I make it to the basement, I have no cell service. I'm in SOS mode. So if you're looking for a place that has really fast cell reception, this is not going to be it. And you're going to have to kind of figure that out house by house. And the seventh con of living in Glenwood is really those rural living challenges like losing power or having a lot of wildlife on the roadways that you can run into when you're driving into work. And again, power outages happen more often out here because you have more above ground power lines than you do in other places in Howard County where they have to put them below ground. So it's just another consideration, something that can be mitigated with a great generator system, but a big reason why you might not want to move here. And the eighth con of living in Glenwood is that there is no nightlife or entertainment here. If you're looking for places to go out in the evening, at night, for shows, for entertainment, this is just not the spot for that. You'll want to go to like Columbia or Ellicott City for those options, but even there, you're not going to have really late nightlife. You're going to have to go into Baltimore or DC for that. But most people moving to Glenwood are not moving here for the nightlife. They're usually moving here with a family where they want that sprawling private property away from all that. But if you are in need of those things, you might want to consider a different area. So there you have it, 8 pros and 8 cons of living in Glenwood, Maryland. And these are not the only pros and cons of living here. I cannot cover it all in just one video. So if you are considering moving here and you have burning questions about this area, about nearby towns like Dayton and Glen Elg and West Friendship, that is what I'm here for. I've lived in Howard County for half of my lifetime, so I know every corner of this area. Please reach out to me. And the best way to do that is to just go in the description below and click on that link to schedule a one-on-one consultation with me. We'll go over your move. We'll figure out the best places that you should be targeting, and we'll get a plan together to make it go as smoothly as possible. And as always, if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe so you stay up to date on all of my videos about moving to Maryland.